Today's episode has been brought to you by Schedulicity.
Welcome to episode 118 of the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast. Have you ever attended a yoga conference and wondered just how much work went into pulling it off? Or have you been thinking about planning a yoga conference yourself and need some help getting started? Allison Rissel is just the person you need to hear from. Allison and I dive into the nitty-gritty of planning a yoga conference. In her first year where she planned a yoga conference, Allison even managed to turn a profit. Of course, it was a steep learning curve for her, and she talks about how much work went into it. And she has a lot to share about the tips and secrets you should know if you're thinking about organizing a conference or if you want to be part of one. So if you are contemplating planning a yoga conference, this interview is full of actionable tips you can put to use immediately. And if you're curious about what goes on behind the scenes or how to be a guest at a conference or a teacher at a conference, I'm sure you'll be surprised at some of the things you'll hear in this episode. My name is Shannon Crow. I'm a mother of three, a yoga teacher, and a trainer and consultant working for yoga teachers. And this podcast here was created because I know the challenges and the struggles as a yoga teacher. And so it was created with you in mind, the yoga teacher, so that you have this place where you can connect to information and inspiration every single week and feel supported as this professional yoga teacher, because that's what I believe you are. You are a professional business owner yoga teacher. And I know a lot of you are other things. Sometimes you are working full-time jobs at other places, you're caring for either children or loved ones, and you're doing a lot. So here is some information all condensed for you every single week in this podcast. And if you haven't checked out our show notes yet, make sure to go over to the Connected Yoga Teacher and go see those. So this week, the show notes are at theconnectedyogateacher.com/118. And before we meet Allison, let's hear our hot tip of the week from Schedulicity.
Hey there, Connected Yoga Teachers. This is Caitlin with the Schedulicity Hot Tip of the Week. Try out Schedulicity's waitlisting if your workshops are filling up. When someone tries to book space online for a workshop that's full, they'll be invited to join the waitlist. You'll see them in the order in which they join, so you can easily work on a first-come, first-served basis. If you have a cancellation, you can pull your waitlist clients into your workshop and they'll automatically be sent a notification telling them that they made the cut. Keep your workshops full without keeping your roster on your mind.
Thank you so much, Schedulicity. You make my life so much easier. I was just looking at my calendar today and seeing how nice and clean it looks. I can look as a podcaster, okay, that's what my calendar looks like today. And then I can switch over and see, okay, as a yoga teacher or as a consultant, that's my calendar. And I love the way I can add in personal time and move things around and stay in touch with anyone who books with me. So thank you so much for that. Let's dive in and meet Allison. She became a yoga teacher in 2006. Hey, same year as me, Allison, and uses her master's degree in exercise science alongside her extensive anatomy and biomechanics training to work with a variety of clients, including seniors, athletes, teens, and those dealing with chronic pain. Allison is currently pursuing her 1,300-hour yoga therapy certification. Today, she still teaches yoga class in Longmont, Colorado, but her passion lies in training yoga teachers to create their own yoga communities. She offers 200 and 300-hour yoga teacher trainings in North and South Dakota, where she shares with yoga teachers how to be acknowledgeable, safe, ethical, and authentic leaders in their communities. For yoga teachers planning a conference, Allison offers a range of services from one-on-one strategy calls to full service planning and coordination packages to help bring their yoga conference dreams to life. Now let's meet Allison. Welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast, Allison. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. I'm excited because when we last spoke, so I don't even know when that was, we had a consultation call. I remember thinking, okay, I want to get you on the podcast to have you on as a guest. So tell our listeners what it is you're offering and the work that you do and sort of who you do it for.
So I do a lot, and I've done a lot, but one of my bigger offerings right now is I live in Colorado, but I train yoga teachers in North and South Dakota, and soon to be Montana too. And I originally started training teachers. Well, I'm originally from Austin, Texas, where there was a plethora of yoga teachers. And I then moved to Williston, North Dakota, where there was almost no yoga teachers. There was two in town, and then I came in. And it was eye-opening. These other two teachers also had other full-time jobs and kids, so they only taught a few classes here and there. But I came in and basically started teaching full-time, teaching in my garage. I started teaching at businesses and so forth. And I got a pretty good following there in North Dakota. So over time, my husband then got transferred down to Colorado. And so whenever I told my poor yoga students that I was going to be moving, they kind of had a mini freak out, like, oh my gosh, who's going to teach us yoga now? What are we going to do? And so I basically told them, you guys have been practicing with me for a while. Why don't y'all become the teachers? And that's kind of how the yoga teacher training program got born in North Dakota. Over on the western side of North Dakota, I've now certified 75 yoga instructors, I think, in 3 locations there on the western slope of North Dakota, where there really wasn't much yoga at all. There's now studios and teacher trainings, and it's just booming over there. And from that, I selfishly was hoping to find some continuing education for my yoga teachers over there. I wanted them to keep growing and maturing their practice. And so I created the North Dakota Yoga Conference for the whole state. It started as somewhat selfish motives, so that way my yoga teachers could take classes and continuing their education. But I also really wanted to connect teachers from across the whole state. And really, I saw the impact that yoga had and that yoga teacher trainings were having in the towns that I was at. And it was incredible. And I really wanted to spread that across the whole state so we could have all the teachers and all the yogis come together, and new people who had never done yoga before. I wanted them to come and check it out, have an opportunity to try a variety of styles and a variety of teachers, and just make this big community gathering in North Dakota of yogis. Yeah.
So I love how you said that that's selfish. I can't see what's selfish in that in any way. Also, I just want to go back to where this was an idea and the point where you thought, I can pull this off. Is there something in your background that enables you to feel like, yeah, I totally have this. I can do this?
Well, I had attended a lot of conferences in the past, and I had this idea. I don't have like any event planning experience or anything. I used to be a professor, and then I kind of managed a wellness program on campus. So I'm used to taking on these really big projects. But what really solidified in my mind that I could do it is I attended the South Dakota Yoga Conference. Whole different conference run also by 3 women. And I saw what they did. And whenever I saw what they did, they empowered me to take that next step. I had this idea formulating for almost 2 years. And whenever I saw them put their conference on, it just empowered me to be able to, you know what, we could do the same thing in North Dakota. I kind of see how y'all have run it. And I think it can be a reality. I also teamed up with 2 other women. And so there's 3 of us that co-founded the conference. And that made a huge, huge difference. I don't know if it's something I could have done by myself, but having 2 other teammates really helped motivate me and really helped bring this whole dream to reality.
That's amazing. So then when did you host the very first conference in North Dakota?
2017.
Okay. So it was last year when we're talking now.
Yeah.
And how did it go? Like, was it what you expected? How did it go?
It was incredible. Also the most stressful thing of my life that I think I've ever done.
Right.
But it really worked out incredible, especially for the first year. Obviously, the first year, there were some kinks that happened, some layout issues that we didn't really account for, some marketing things we could have done better. So there was some kinks the first year, but overall it went really smoothly. And the second year went even smoother. In fact, the first year went so well, we outgrew the space that we rented the very first year. Um, our biggest complaint the first year is that the space was too small. And that was incredible to me. Especially coming from, okay, we've never done anything like this in North Dakota. It's not like North Dakota had this huge booming community of yogis. I didn't know what the attendance was going to be like. I had no idea if anyone was even going to show up. And then the fact that we outgrew the spaces that we had reserved, that was incredible. That was amazing.
Okay. So I want to keep backing things up. So when you started planning this, how long did it take from like, I have this idea to when you started advertising it? And then how long did you give between advertising and the event happening? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think the first year we really formed the idea in January of 2017. Or maybe we gave ourselves a full year. I think Brenda and I had been brainstorming since about September of 2016.
Okay.
In 2017, January 2017 is when I think I really started working on the website, and getting that up. And we really started to formulate, okay, what is this going to look like? We need to reserve the conference space. We need to actually get all these pieces in order. And so I think that all really happened in the very beginning of 2017. In about June of 2017, we sent out emails and we advertised to all the people, all the yoga teachers that we knew that we were going to be putting on the conference. And we had teachers apply to teach at the conference. And so I think I finally got the schedule done in about July of 2017. And then it was a mad dash of getting all the marketing done and emailing every studio owner out there and putting Facebook ads out there and just talking to people to really try and pull the whole conference together.
So you had the schedule planned out who was going to be sharing at the conference. Do you remember how many people that was in the first year?
Yes, and it's been the same this year. We had about 27 teachers teaching 27 different classes.
And then how does that work? Like, does it go over a period of a weekend? And also, can people choose if they're going to different things or do they go to one thing?
So we did it as a 3-day event, and we started Friday at 5:30. 5:30 or maybe 5 p.m. is the first class, 5 to 6:30 p.m. Then we have a social. Then the next class starts on Saturday at 8 a.m. And at each class time, there's 3 different options that you can take. So there's like 10 sessions with 3 different presenters at each session.
Okay.
And I really try and work the schedule so there's no repeats, which we've had some not complaints, but feedback on how they want to repeat some classes. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but
like people would like to do it that weekend and then redo it that same weekend?
No, like someone's class was so good. Like there were 2 classes someone really wanted to go to, but they had to choose one. They would have liked to see that other presenter teach at a different time, so they could have gone to that.
Right.
That's not bad
feedback to be getting.
No, That's wonderful feedback. That's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
And we do, so it's a full day Saturday event and then a half day Sunday, 8 a.m. And then I think we end at about noon on
Okay. And so who is mostly attending? Yoga teachers, yoga students, or do you know the breakdown of who is there?
It's a lot of both. It's a really good mix. Mostly we have, I would say that we mostly have students who are there. At this last conference, we had about 172 participants. And I would say majority of them were students. But there were definitely a lot of teachers there because it's a community event, it's the one place where everyone can gather together and see each other and make connections. So there's a lot of teachers, but I would say it's still probably maybe 70-30 students versus teachers.
Okay, like 70% students?
Mm-hmm. That's what I
wow.
would probably guess.
And you said it was 170 people attending.
Yes.
Which I like. Like, it's not one of those huge conferences. There's a huge one here in Toronto, and I feel like the numbers are in the thousands. That's just a guess of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't really, I get to know certain people, and I'm just busy like the rest of them running from thing to thing. I like how you also have the social time. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And so what have you learned along the way? What were some of the things where you're just like, if I knew that at the beginning, that would have saved me so much headache?
How to choose. I would say the very first thing that I think we did well, because I'm going to start with that. I kind of had thought about that question before. One of the first things that I think we did really well is we worked together really well. I chose, or all three of us women chose each other because we worked well together. And we each have a good understanding of our strengths and our weaknesses. And we're really good at working together and saying, okay, you're really good at this aspect. You should go and do that. I'm really good at this. I should go and do this. So I think that was the first thing that we actually did well. Not the hardest lesson because I thought of that beforehand.
Right.
I would say the biggest thing I wish I would have known beforehand is how much time is really involved. How much time and how much money is involved. It is really expensive to rent event spaces, really expensive.
Can you give us an idea of what rent space has been compared to year one and year two?
We had the same facility, just bigger conference rooms. So the difference wasn't too great, but we're looking at expanding into a bigger facility, and it's going to cost several $1,000s more. I mean, You're probably looking at $5,000 to $10,000 more.
Right.
And that can be a really scary leap, hoping that more people show up, but you don't really know. You want to expand and grow into a bigger space, but what if you don't make the numbers to make the finances match up? That can be really, really hard. I didn't really realize how expensive event centers were, or hotel conference rooms. That was a big one. And then, like I said, also the amount of time. It is a lot of time. I mean, each year I probably dedicate a couple 100 hours to the conference. And I wouldn't say I'm making that up for my revenue or how much money I actually put in my pocket at the end of the conference. If you would break down and look at, you had 172 participants at this price, you must have made a lot of money. No, most of that money goes towards expenses. We make very, very little from it, especially for the time. We probably make like $2 an hour.
Right. And so I feel like that lesson of the time and the money that you've put in, if someone would have told you, okay, it's going to take about 200 hours, I don't know if you would believe them. You'd be like, I can pull that off. It's almost like you have to live it to feel what it's like. When you and I spoke in your consultation call and you were facing different challenges. Was there anything that you took from that then was able to offer some help? Like, how did that call with me shift things? Because I feel like that was the main focus, was around time.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I am shifting more to offering some more things online now with my business. Um, I'm getting to the point, I've been traveling to North Dakota now for about 3 years, steadily, going there once to twice a month for 3 solid years. And it's starting to wear on me mentally and emotionally. And so our conference call was really about how can I start shifting things to either bigger scale events or just shifting more out of North Dakota. And I've definitely made some changes where I'm going to be offering some more things online. And also, one of the big things I'm going to be starting to do is empowering more of my teachers in North Dakota to start running some of their own trainings.
Nice.
It's not an environment I don't want to monopolize the community there. I want to make other teachers feel really empowered and start their own businesses. And so that's another big shift that's going to be happening in 2019. And my teachers are so excited about it. They're really excited about the opportunity. I'm excited. I don't have to travel there as much. So yeah, that's a big shift. I would say another big shift that I'm making on the conference is we're hiring some people this year. Yay.
That's so good.
Yeah, I have taken on the role of social media manager, website manager, all like the online stuff for the conference is what I've been doing. And it's exhausting. It's so exhausting. And so this year, someone else is going to be handling our website. I have a social media manager who's going to be handling the social media. So those shifts are going to make a huge impact on my time. And they should actually bring in more people as well, which will be really nice.
That's so good. I'm so glad to hear that. I know that you and I share a VA.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. So shout out to Samantha. And in that, sometimes I felt this before. I don't know if you did. I would think, well, I can just do that. So why should I pay someone to do it? But the thing that starts to happen, and maybe you've already seen this, is that they just do it quicker because they're not jumping on the website and then going, oh, and there's these other 5 things I should fix right now. So they jump in, get the highest priority things done, and jump out. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It is such a huge time saver. And even just something like the MailChimp marketing, that is not a difficult thing to do. I can knock it out pretty quickly. But whenever you have to create weekly or bi-weekly emails, you're looking at several hours of your time. And each time I start something, I'm like, ooh, I have a new idea. I have that shiny object syndrome.
Right.
And I'm like, ooh, we could do this too. We could do this too. And now suddenly my 1 hour of emails that I was supposed to get done, I've just brainstormed a whole new idea for the conference that now I just put more work on my plate.
Right.
So when I can give that off to someone else, that saves me a lot of time, and I can still work on brainstorming other ideas without having to spend those hours on emails and social media and stuff like that.
Right. So let's go back to the numbers a little bit. How many people attended in 2017, the first year, and then how many people attended in 2018?
So total participants, and this is paid participants, this doesn't include the vendors or the teachers, is the first year we had 132, and then the second year 173.
Okay. So it's really grown a lot. When do people have to be registered?
They could register the day of. We have a lot of people come in and just register for 1 or 2 classes if that's what they want to do.
Okay. The day of, never
Mhm.
before?
So we offer an early bird special, and that is a huge, huge thing. That is a very big marketing strategy that I think every yoga teacher should know about is early bird specials. They're so important. And we'll set the early bird special for a 3-day conference pass. We'll set that early bird special about a month or 6 weeks before the conference.
Okay, that's when it runs out.
That's when it expires. And the goal is to try and have, 75% of your participants registered before that early bird special.
And do you usually get near that goal then?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And so how do you get near that goal? What, like even from year 1 to year 2 and what you're planning for year 3, is there anything that you're like, this is our best bang for our buck?
So I tend to try and get out most of our marketing stuff before that early bird deadline. And that's really the key. You have to have all the pieces in place as far as schedule, teachers, all of that needs to line up. And then you probably need at least 3, 4, 5 months of really heavy marketing in order before that early bird special. There's a fine line. You don't want to offer it too soon because people will forget, but you don't want to make it too rushed either. So I try and do Facebook ads. I do lots of posting into groups, especially yoga groups around North Dakota. I send coupons to every teacher. I send flyers and postcards to every single yoga studio in North Dakota. Even big yoga teachers, I send them to every yoga teacher as well. I send marketing material and coupon codes to anyone who wants them. My goal is for everyone to save that 10% and get that early bird special. That's really my goal. And so I send all of that marketing material. I make sure there's tons of emails that are being sent out regularly. I guess just most of my marketing effort is really focused right before that early bird special. Then after the early bird special, all my marketing is now focused on getting people amped for the conference.
Okay.
I'm really talking about the teachers. I'm really talking about the classes. I'm talking about what to do in Bismarck, stuff like that. So that's kind of the schedule that the marketing takes.
And when you say Bismarck, that's where it is in North Dakota?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Bismarck, North Dakota. Right in the capital. It's right centralized in North Dakota. So that's why we chose there.
Right. Do you know what the population of Bismarck is?
Not off the top of my head.
Hey, Connected Yoga teachers. I'm popping in here because if you're anything like me, you are now wondering what the population of Bismarck is. And to save you going to Wikipedia and reading all about this fast-growing city in North Dakota, yep, I just did that. I will tell you, according to Wikipedia, Bismarck is the second most populous city in the state with an estimated population of 72,417 people. And another fun fact, in case you want to know how the town got its name, the town was actually called Edwinton after Northern Pacific Railway engineer Edwin Ferry Johnson. However, the Northern Pacific Railway changed the name to Bismarck after the German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck because they wanted to bring German immigrants to work and invest in the railroad. So, yep, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole on Wikipedia. Now you don't need to in case you wanted to know the population. Okay, let's get back to our interview with Allison. That's enough distraction.
But Bismarck is pretty awesome. Besides the super cold weather, which I'm sure you understand in Canada.
Yes.
Bismarck is a really cool place. They have a lot of up-and-coming yoga studios, a lot of up-and-coming like farm to market type restaurants. They have lots of new breweries that are opening. It's really growing. It's becoming a really cool place.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's not where you live either now. So you travel in. What is your prep like that week?
Oh gosh, it's crazy. The week before the conference or the week before yoga teacher training?
The week before the conference, what is that like?
Not a lot of sleep, I would say. this last conference, I actually had right before the conference, my husband went out of town, which I rely on him for a lot of stuff. And I had a horrible case of pantry moths. So I was up cleaning my pantry until like 1 or 2 a.m. every night, trying to get rid of these pantry moths. So that was this year. It was a bit crazy. That's not the norm, I hope. The week before the conference prep, it's kind of weird. I'm putting together, there's a lot that goes on. A lot of it is communication with the vendors. I'm communicating with the sponsors. I'm communicating with the teachers. I'm sending them emails, making sure that all of their needs are met, asking them if they have any questions, reminding them of stuff. At the social, the presenters all have like 30 seconds to a minute to give a little speech about their class. And so I send out a little reminder to everyone, hey, don't forget, you're going to give a little speech. We're communicating with the hotel and we're arranging the food for the social. We're ordering the sponsor banners. We're ordering the table banners. I'm doing tons of printing because I'm printing out feedback forms. I'm printing out sign-in sheets. I'm printing out thank you notes. Lots and lots of printing and prepping. I'm ordering the decorations, making sure that we have enough tapestries to hang. We're in touch with the florist to make sure that we're having the flowers delivered. Lots of communication. I'm also doing post-conference prep. So I'm preparing thank you emails. I'm preparing surveys. I'm preparing all of that post-conference information because after the conference, I'm pretty drained and I just know I won't get that stuff done. So that week before, I'm really just I'm communicating with everyone. I'm making sure all the last minute details are in place. I'm ordering things. I'm preparing my food for the week, for the weekend. I'm gathering all my stuff together. I had like 15 different to-do lists that I had to check off. Just lots and lots and lots of prep. I would say the main thing I'm doing is communicating, printing, and preparing some of the thank you type stuff and the surveys.
Right. Well, this is nice. It sounds like you really are taking care of everyone who's there at the conference.
We try to. I kind of think of the conference as planning your wedding. You never know how much prep is going to be involved. And you start planning your wedding and you're like, oh, wow, this is so easy. There's not that much involved. And then you realize things are really expensive. You have to talk to a lot of people. And no matter how well you plan that week before, something's going to go wrong and there's going to be a lot of work to do.
That's amazing. So I feel like if you ever thought, okay, I'd like to be a wedding planner, or, ooh, I loved planning my wedding, then this would be a thing for you. But if not, like I'm thinking, that's not really me. I love to attend conferences, but all of that makes me feel like, what are you doing in the moment of the conference? Like while the conference is happening, are you teaching or are you running around and doing things then? What does that look like?
Yep. So I teach one of the presentations, and each of us co-founders, we teach at least one presentation. That's kind of one of the reasons why we do this is so it can market our programs as well. That's one of the things that we're looking for. At the conference, I'm really at the registration table, especially the first day. I'm at the registration table a lot, talking with people, making sure people are getting checked in, stuff like that. I'm also preparing my speech for the opening ceremony, for the closing ceremony. We're handing out door prizes throughout the program or throughout the conference. I'm really running around and talking and connecting with people and answering lots of questions. It's crazy.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I am a really big extrovert, so I love it. I absolutely love it. I love going and connecting and talking with people. If you're not a huge extrovert, that's fine. You don't have to be, but you probably want to try and team up with someone who is a really big extrovert because you need someone there that can go and talk to people and just kind of, you need someone there who does not mind giving directions, who says, okay, let's put this banner right there. Let's put this tapestry there. Let's decorate this here. You need to do that. You need someone who can make those really quick decisions and get that stuff done.
Do you have a theme to your conference? Is there a thread of topics that happens, or how do you even sift through those applications when they come through from different teachers?
That's a really good question. And I put a lot of thought into the schedule. Whenever teachers apply, they can provide 3 different topics they want to teach. And they'll provide the title and then a short little description. And then at each class time, I try and have 1 physical practice, 1 meditation practice, and then 1 workshop type thing. So for example, we had at one time slot, there was a breath is boss, which was more of like a breath-based physical practice. Then we had like a yoga nidra. And then we had a hands-on adjustments for yoga teachers. And I find that works well because if you just have only physical practices, there's no way someone can do 30 or 10 hours of physical practice. That's exhausting.
Right.
But then there's a lot of yogis who don't care about the hands-on adjustments. So you really have to find that balance. And I accept applications, teacher applications, and typically the order they come in. There are some guidelines. I make sure every yoga teacher has insurance, that they are a practicing yoga teacher, actually, that they have the proper certifications. And then I really try and schedule based on availability. And sometimes a teacher may not get their very first class choice because I need a meditation type class. And so I'm sorry, I don't need your Ashtanga class. I know it's wonderful, but what if you taught this 8 limbs of yoga class instead? Would you really like that? And most of the time, they're totally fine with that. So that's how I kind of work on the schedule.
Wow. That sounds like a real dance to fit everything in and to plug that all in. Do you have what do you send out to people who are wanting to register? Is there a booklet or is it all online?
What do you mean? Register for teachers or for participants?
Like you had said that you send something out to the studios maybe in your area with a 10% discount. And then is there a schedule with that talks about who's sharing what?
So typically what I do, and I'll do this in early 2019 probably, is I send out just a postcard. It's like a 5x7 postcard, and it just has, announcing the North Dakota Yoga Conference with the dates, the website, and then it's also it's marketing not just for yoga, for the yogis and for the conference, but I'm also marketing for yoga teachers. Hey, applications will open on this day.
Okay.
Vendor applications open this day. So I try and put a lot of information on this 5x7 postcard, and I'll send about 50 to 100 to each yoga studio, just so they can pass them out to their teachers, to their students, and everyone. And then it has it's like a save the date, basically.
Right. It's a lot like planning a wedding.
It's so much like planning a wedding. Yes. Even the day of, you're running around and you're talking to people. And then at the end of the day, you're like, oh my gosh, it's already over? So fast.
So I want to go back to also 2 things. One is, how did this work the first year? I remember talking to you and you said we broke even kind of thing, or we didn't have to put out our own personal money for these expenses. Do you want to talk to us about how the profit worked and why you think it worked?
Sure. So whenever we started the conference, we like the smaller scale conference. I don't think I could ever put on a conference for thousands of people. And I knew that North Dakota wasn't going to be able to support that right away, the first year especially. If that's the type of conference someone wants to invest in, you're going to have to put several $1,000s into that conference because you're going to need a lot of event space. So I just want to make that clear because we were able to start this conference with very little seed money. We were able to start it with very little seed money because we did all the work.
Right.
I created the website with Wix. I created the email campaigns with MailChimp. I did all the social media. All that advertising was pretty much free. We just had to pay for sending out some postcards. So you have some printing fees, which are pretty nominal, and then a little bit of postage. We made phone calls and I went and visited a lot of studios too. So we put in a lot of legwork and that helped us start with very little seed money. So I think that yoga teachers get intimidated by big events because they think like, I have to be like the Minneapolis Yoga Conference. Like I need thousands and thousands of people to come. No, you don't. No, you don't. If you structure it correctly and you have a good base of students and teachers, then you can pull it off for little seed money. And then whenever you don't have to pay the hotel until after the conference or right before the conference. And so you don't have to pay that bill right away. You've already made all the money from the registrations to pay for the event space.
Okay.
So that's how we started it. We started it with very little seed money. At the end of the conference, we did take home a profit. Each of us did, but like I said, it was probably like $2 an hour.
Right. And so I'm also guessing you said that all of you present there and it's sort of like the top of your funnel, like
Yes.
you're advertising some of your offerings there as well.
Yes. We each have since we put it on, we each present, we're each sponsors. So we're on the sponsor board and we're each vendors. So we each have a vendor table there with all of our offerings and stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I'm okay doing it for $2 an hour. It helps me promote some of my events. It helps me connect with other yoga teachers. It helps me connect with other yoga studios. I would say, although I only made maybe $2 for an hour, I connected with a lot of yoga teachers and I filled my very last yoga teacher training. I mean, I filled it like I doubled what I had normally done. And I think a lot of that was from the conference. I booked more workshops. I booked a lot more. And I think a lot of that was from the visibility of the conference. So the money comes back in other ways. It's
Right.
the top of the funnel. So.
Good stuff. So my second question that I want to ask is, when is it happening in 2019? And how can our yoga teachers sign up and attend if they want to?
So you can visit the indieyogaconference.com, and that's our website. I'm looking at it right now, and since the conference in September, I have not updated this.
You're like, I
should do that. The next year is going to be October 4th through the 6th of 2019, and it's again going to be in Bismarck, North Dakota. We'll have our teacher applications probably start opening in March or April again, and we'll be accepting vendor applications and sponsors and stuff like that as well. We're really hoping to pass that 200 number. I'd really like to see us at 250 next year.
Nice.
And we accept teachers from all over the country. You don't have to be just from North Dakota. We don't pay for travel fees or anything. This is really a marketing type advantage for you. But if you have offerings, if you want to start getting on the conference circuit, this is a great opportunity for you to do that. So Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this. Also, I would encourage, I know your time is limited, but I would encourage people, yoga teachers who are thinking, oh, I'd like to start a conference, like you would be the perfect person to book a call with.
Yes, definitely. And I'm looking at expanding a little bit more, hopefully offering some conferences at other locations around the country. So if people are interested in that, have the experience and the know-how, and I'm more than willing to help and offer some of that investment as well. So that's where we're looking to expand.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about that then.
Yes, yes, we'll see.
Thank you so much for your time today.
No problem. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Well, connected yoga teachers, how was that? Thank you so much again, Allison. I know that after you and I talked, I actually got a little bit excited thinking, what would it be like to put on a conference? Or what would it be like to go to your yoga conference? So, connected yoga teachers, I want to hear from you in our show notes. Share a link if you go to a conference and you love that conference, or share a question if you have one for Allison. If you do end up working with Allison to create a yoga conference, I definitely want to hear about it. Invite me to it. You might just see me there. I do love to go and connect with yoga teachers at conferences. Oh, and I want to tell you about a really amazing offering that Allison has created since our interview. So she put together a yoga conference calendar. So this consists of all conferences, festivals, and events throughout the US and Canada. And so I will put a link in our show notes where you can join her community and receive a copy of this. And it gets updated quarterly. So I'm super excited to check it out. And maybe then we can work at connecting in person. So make sure to let me know if you're going to a conference, and I'll see if I can also go, or let our other connected yoga teachers know in our Facebook group. Are you in our Facebook group yet? Some of you have told me that you're not there yet. So if you're not, go to theconnectedyogateacher.com and click on the join button. It's a super supportive group. You can post questions there. You can share helpful tips and comments and ideas. Sometimes yoga teachers are popping in there to say, hey, this worked really well, or can you take a look at this poster? Or, wow, I just had a really tough moment. How would you deal with this in your yoga business? If you are wanting to work with me one-on-one, I will tell you that things are getting booked up until near the end of 2019, but there are some spaces still. So go to theconnectedyogateacher.com and look under Work with Shannon. Also, I'm leading a 2-day training in Meaford, Ontario, all about yoga for pelvic health. And I have an exciting offering that I am working on that will be all about pelvic health. I am super excited, and you will be hearing more from me about that once I get my idea actually out where someone can take a look at it. So stay tuned for that, especially if you're excited about anything pelvic health. If you want to join the 2-day training with me in Meaford, Ontario, you can go to theconnectedyogateacher.com. Look under trainings and events, and there are tons of other online things where we can meet up online. A shout out to Ears to the Ground from the United States for leaving a review. Ears to the Ground says, this podcast serves me in so many ways. Inspiring, grounding, reaches the depths of yoga business and practice, covers an incredibly broad base of topics, and most importantly, connects me to others. I feel so supported just by listening to Shannon Crow and her guests. I'm so grateful for all that I have learned from these conversations. I might just start teaching yoga after years of wanting to since I finished my first teacher training in 2011. This podcast has helped me to get over myself and just start. I teach math at a university. Yesterday, I offered a free yoga class to my math students and am lesson planning the pre-calculus yoga sequence today. LOL. We start next week. Thank you so much for the inspiration and practical wisdom. Oh my gosh, Ears to the Ground. I am amazed by this, and I want to hear more. I want to hear, how's it going? Are you teaching? And thank you so much for bringing math and yoga together. That would have been really helpful for me in school. Pre-calculus yoga is needed, I think. It certainly was for me. It didn't exist. Thank you for taking the time to leave a review. That means a lot. If you can go over and leave a review, you get a bonus gift. You might hear me read your review on the podcast. I try and read all of them. Thank you so much to our team, Samantha, Suzanne, Crunch, and Cindy, for making today's episode possible. And thank you, dear listener. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing week, and I want to hear, what will you be doing this week to stay connected to yourself, your yoga practice, and to your community? So you can say it right now. What would really help you to stay connected so that you can share the yoga that lights you up?